Welcome to From Profit Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and I hope you had a fantastic holiday. Well, no matter what holiday you celebrate, I hope it was amazing for you. So hopefully all of you guys got a lot of Amazon gift cards because I'm going to give you some ways to spend them today. But first, I want to get into author platform building and the new year 2024. So it seems like we're sliding a little bit into a recession, which as a small business, I have dealt with before. So I do want to talk a little bit about that. And also at the same time, 2024 is an election year, and small businesses always tend to struggle a little bit more in an election year just because of the uncertainty in the marketplace. People aren't willing to let go of their money until they know which direction that's going. So with that said, the reason I want to address that today is that means that your author platform building tactics need to change in 2024. Everything needs to be more relationship instead of click-based. And the reason I say that is because when it's harder to get a sale, when it's a little bit challenging to get people to let go of their money, that means you have to step up to the plate and build trust like you've never built it before. And even though, clicks and content and all that builds trust, what really builds trust is one-on-one relationships, people getting to know you, understanding that you're going to care about the money that they've given you, that you're going to care about them as individuals when they're in your programs and when you sell them products and services. So I want all of you guys to keep that in mind. You have to do more in an economy like this, not less. And unfortunately, there's that dichotomy that, oh my gosh, I have to do more, but I have less money to do it with. So it really does behoove you to rely on your platform, rely on your email list more, rely on your appointment setting more, your lead generation, and getting out and meeting people like we probably haven't done since before 2020, because people are not only aching for personal contact after we spent that time in lockdown, but also they want to know that you're a good person, that you're a good fit. What used to be a smaller amount of money will now become a big deal. So it's going to be much harder, and you're going to have to work that much harder to get your clients. So really think about how you're going to work on that lead generation this year in 2024 and how you're going to make it more relationship based. With that said, we do have Author Traffic School to help you get some of that set up and going. If you haven't already, you definitely need that email list. You need email copy. You need those landing pages. You need those lead magnets. And you need those lead magnets to lead to something live where people can interact, more video content, because that's what people are getting into, and also more live content. We find that every month, more and more people show up to our lives, they ask questions, they get to know us, and that's really where it starts. So finding that fine line between how much click, how much digital do I need, and how do I translate that into relationship building. So this is no longer an area where those big long funnels are going to work, because you have to have enough digital to bring new people in, but then have that way to transition. You cannot be the invisible author if you want to generate book sales and money. So remember I said back at the beginning that I was going to give you a place to spend those Amazon gift cards you got for Christmas. Well, I'm pretty committed to that. So I'm going to talk about the 5 books that I think our company produced in the last year and a half that made the most impact, and recommend them to you because they're all over the place when it comes to personal development. And that's really where I wanted to focus, is personal development. So I'm going to start out with Gretchen Hydo's 2 books, because she put 2 books together at the same time. The first one, the soft cover, is called Break Free from Your Dirty Little Secret, and the workbook companion is Tell Your Secret. Now, when I get books in-house for publishing, I usually read the first or second chapter And that's mostly to recommend you to an editor and recommend what kind of edit so that I can talk to the editor in advance and say, hey, this needs a really deep edit. The structure is not great in the book. Those are typically people who should have used a book developer up front and didn't. And then those others that just need a mild editing, some grammar, some spelling, some things mildly changed around. But I have to tell you, when I got Gretchen's book, and I knew Gretchen's book was going to be good because of who she used for editing and book development, I knew it was going to be rock solid. When I got her book, I read the first chapter of Break Free of Your Dirty Little Secret, and I was hooked. This is truly a manual where you go through and you figure out those blocks that have been holding you back. Now, think about it, and Gretchen shares a lot of really transparent stories in this. Think about to your childhood, those formative years where someone told you a lie, but you took it in as your own lie. So I'm going to give you guys a great example. Someone told me many, many years ago that I sucked at art. And so I went to writing instead of drawing and painting. So I have realized recently, because I'm actually selling paintings, I took up painting, that somebody back in my childhood told me that I wasn't very good at something. And it turns out I was, but I took on that lie forever. I have to tell you, before I took up my painting class randomly, because I wanted a new hobby, I drew stick people. And I drew stick people because I thought I was really bad at this. So it's uncovering those little things. And that's not even a traumatic lie. I'll share another one with you that really, really struck me until I grew up as well. Is when I was a child, my dad used to tell me I didn't have common sense. And he didn't mean it to be mean, Dad. He did it to be in the sense that his common sense wasn't my common sense. As I grew older, I thought that I didn't have any common sense. And so when I got into boardrooms and big meetings and marketing meetings, I would come up with ideas and people would look at me and they'd go, why didn't I think of that? Like, where did that come from? And that's when I realized that there was a comment in my childhood that I took on as a lie, but I thought it was the truth. It was a lie. I thought it was the truth. And so I went through life thinking I didn't have common sense. But when I look back now, I realize that my father could pull anything apart. Like, you give him a radio and say, my radio's not working. He'd pull that thing apart and it would work by the time you're done. He could mechanically pull anything apart and put it back together. The difference was I couldn't mechanically do it. If you give me any sort of instructions for something mechanical, it's like stereo instructions. I sit there and I go, oh my God. But what I do is I can take part concepts in my head, organize them, and put them back out there in an organized fashion with ideas of how to proceed. That was my gift. And that is common sense. I don't make things overcomplicated. So that's what I loved about Gretchen's book, is going back and identifying those lies that others may have accidentally or on purpose told us that we took on as our truth. And once we start clearing those out, we become our more authentic selves. We become our more creative selves. So that's what I loved about Gretchen's book. I also love that she had so many examples of really intimate things that we take on that hurt our relationships, that hurt our relationships with ourselves and others. So Gretchen's book is at the top of my list of those books you need in 2024. The companion, Tell Your Secret, is something that you can work through as you go along. Bridget's books has exercises, they have ideas, they really make you think. But Gretchen's book was probably the first book in a really long time that I said, whoa, wait a minute. Can you give me a week to look at this? Because I want to go through the entire book. And I thought it was one of the most helpful books I've ever encountered. So, top of my list, Gretchen Hydo's Break Free of Your Dirty Little Secret and Tell Your Secret. Number 2 on my list is Kevin Jones, Opening the Corporate Closet. Kevin is a leadership coach for the LGBTQ community and other communities as well. He doesn't limit himself to that LGBTQ plus community. But what he does share in his book is his journey as an executive at one of the top accounting firms in the world. So imagine being LGBTQ plus and walking into this very conservative business model. He shares a lot of insight with leaders and HR people out there about not only how can they include the LGBTQ plus community into their leadership and growth positions, but also helping the LGBTQ plus community as a whole come out of that closet, embrace who you are authentically, and run with it, and not have any fear that the corporate community is not going to hire you, not going to promote you. One of the really valuable things I learned from Kevin, and he has an upcoming webinar on this as well, is how many times the LGBTQ plus community has to come out. So let me give you an example. You know, I'm thinking as a straight person that I'm going to have to, someone comes out of the closet once. So they come out to their family, they come out to their friends, they're either accepted, they're not accepted, you know, there's partiality there where they are and they aren't. That's not what truly happens. When you're in corporate America, the first thing someone's going to ask you, hey, Kevin, are you married? And then there's that awkward, well, yes, and my husband is. And so that was one of the really valuable things that I learned as a compassionate person, that it is a little bit harder because there aren't the norms. They have to come out every single day in a lot of different situations. So I think anybody who wants a better understanding of that community, as well as what it's like for them in corporate America and life, Opening the Corporate Closet is a really valuable book. And what I love about Kevin too is, I love Kevin as a human being. I must admit that he's like my if Kevin weren't gay, we'd be a couple. Let's put it that way, because I just adore him. I probably shouldn't say that, right? Sorry, Kevin. Anyway, what I really love about it as well is there's so much in the news that is really angry about the LGBTQ plus community. They're normal people just like you and me. And there isn't all that anger there. They just want to belong. So that's my number 2 pick. My number 3 pick is Sarah's book, and I don't know why Sarah Carlson's name just went right out of my head. Facing Financial Fears. Sarah is an investment advisor, but also a coach for women, mostly tech women, but women in their 20s and 30s who haven't thought about their objectives for retirement, who haven't thought about their objectives, how they're going to manage their money. And this book has really great tips. Sarah has coaching that's available. And I believe in this book enough that when my own 24-year-old daughter had questions about financing and rollovers, and is this program the best program for me through my work at Whole Foods, I sent her to Sarah. I really and truly believe that this is a book that every woman should read. Sarah has 8 points that are just things that are thoughtful, and she's getting people, especially women, who, you know, a lot of times don't think about this stuff. She's getting them invested early and getting them thinking about that retirement late, you know, what they're going to do with their life, how they're going to use their money, how they're going to use their impact later in life, but also how they can do it now, because less and less women are getting married, or they're, you know, they have to think about their own investment choices versus the old days where, you know, husbands did that a lot, and we're just a lot more independent than we used to be in that arena. So Facing Financial Fears, the number 3 on my list. Number 4 is Karie Cassell's book, The Domino Diet. And if you guys are one of our Breakthrough Author Magazine subscribers, you know that Karie is one of our contributors. I brought Karie on because when you're an entrepreneur, there is a definite shift in work-life balance. You're now responsible for being, a lot of times, the revenue, the rainmaker in your own business. And owning your own business takes a lot more time and organization than saying go to a 9-to-5 job. So what Carrie's book does is it really highlights those areas where we're not taking care of ourselves, where we could do a better job. One of the things when I was working with Carrie that I found valuable in her book is that every 120 days, our body rejuvenates. We have a whole new bunch of cells in our body. And I actually took the challenge because I have to admit, I'm a total sugar whore. Like I will stand on a street corner for bonbons. Not really, but I feel like it some days. But I took a 4-month break from sugar. No sugar in my diet whatsoever. And I have to tell you, when they say it's a lot like heroin, I believe them because I had a really tough time about the first 10 to 15 days. I actually found some sugar spray that was super helpful on Amazon to get rid of those cravings. But it was just like withdrawals from a drug. And so that's what I love about Carrie's book is she talks about that. She talks about alcohol. She is a dietitian, so she knows all about this, but she makes it fun. It's not like all of a sudden you have to cut everything out of your life, like when you have a heart attack or, so don't wait. That's the point of Carrie's book is don't wait until you have a medical emergency to get things going on the right track in your life. When you're an entrepreneur, your exercise, your eating, your stress release, everything is intertwined, and that work-life balance as well. And a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with work-life balance. I'm not one of them. I admit, since COVID happened, I've gotten a lot more intentional, COVID and Carrie's book, about what I put in my mouth and how I spend my time. And that means that I actually take a day off every week and go golf or go pickleball or go do something really athletic that I love. And I've taken up painting because of it too. So just want, if you're thinking about you need a new diet in 2024, this book is absolutely amazing. And you probably see Carrie's contributing articles to help you have that work-life balance a little bit more in our magazine as well. Now, most of our authors are entrepreneurs. So that's choice number 4, Karie Cassell's The Domino Diet. Choice number 5 is so near and dear to my heart, and I love this woman for what she's doing. It's Carrie Schell's book, and it's called The Gray Drinking Reset. And if you find that you're drinking a little too much, go buy this book today and start on the program that she has in the book right away, first of the year. She also, over on her website, carrieschell.com, she also has a 10-day reset over there as well. You'd be amazed in 10 days or 30 days how much just taking a break from alcohol can change your life. You all of a sudden realize that I would say when I did it 15 days in, and I did this years ago, I thought I had a drinking problem. So that's why this book is so near and dear to my heart, because I see women are drinking more and more and binge drinking. And especially with COVID, one of the things that really happened was women in gray drinking, because a lot of times women will turn to wine or alcohol in general when they're stressed. And so, it starts out that glass of wine with dinner, and then it's that bottle of wine for dinner kind of mentality. So that's what I love about Carrie's book is this reset is really a way to get your mind clear, get some clarity. So I'm going to tell you some things that I experienced and why I supported this book so much. About 15 to 20 days into my gray drinking reset, I dropped 5 pounds. Woke up one morning, 5 pounds lighter. The next week, 5 pounds more lighter. The alcohol was actually holding the fat cells in my body in a way that I wasn't losing weight. And think about it. A glass of wine is what, 100 calories? And if you're drinking a bottle of wine a day, and I mean a little bottle, I'm not talking like the box. I wasn't the box of wine girl. But all of a sudden you're shedding 500-600 calories a day that you don't need. That was the first thing. The second thing was the clarity. All of a sudden, no hangover, no, my mind is clear. I'm functioning. I'm more productive. I'm more oriented towards my family. So there are so many benefits when you give up drinking. or even cutting back significantly. And that's what Carrie's book does. And for many of you who are going to wake up with a hangover on New Year's Day, this could be a really valuable way. Once again, on her website, carrieschell.com, and Schell is spelled S-C-H-E-L-L. Carrie is C-A-R-R-I-E. You can grab the 10-day reset and start working. You can also follow her over on Instagram. But this is an amazing book that literally getting off drugs and alcohol will change your life. And she knows that. She is a rehab. She's worked with many, many different rehabs. So she knows the problems. She knows the emotional problems. And what's even better about this is if you're drinking for emotional reasons, once you get that clarity, you have no choice but to start healing those things that started you on the path to drinking to begin with. So just to recap, Gretchen Hydo, Hydo, and all these links are going to be down in the body of this podcast as well. Break free of your dirty little secret and tell your secret. You'll find the links for these books and the covers down below. Number 2, Kevin Jones, Opening the Corporate Closet. Number 3, Sarah Carlson, Facing Financial Fears. Every woman should own this book. The Gray Drinking Reset was actually number 5. I don't know why I just did it as number 4, but I'm not going to re-record this. And number 5, Karie Cassell's book, The Domino Diet. If you buy all of those books today and start working them, I guarantee your 2024 is going to be so amazing. You won't know. You'll be tired of winning, tired of doing great stuff. I can guarantee it. So for all of you, have an amazing, happy new year. Be safe and be really intentional about what your goals are for 2024. And from the day 2024 hit the ground running, go to achieve those goals, and most of all, make sure your whole decorum is in alignment to get those goals achieved. You can't be drinking, you can't have a bad diet and achieve those goals. Most of the time, just not possible. You have to be absolutely in alignment with those intentions. Happy New Year. See you next year.